Hello dear students, welcome to the lecture 14 of Introduction to Programming with C# course. This is our last lecture of this semester for this course. Okay, today I am going to show you how to keep logs of an operation and then save and load those logs. Okay. Which we want in your semester project. So I will compose a new .NET application. This is .NET Core, as you know by now. Okay. Okay, let's pick our repository folder. Lecture 14. So I will make a simple interface to write some text and save it and load it back. Okay. And then you should be able to implement it to your semester project. All right. So I will put a text box to use it as a username here. I could continue with our previous lecture source code, but it would make your job much easier. I mean, so much easier. So I want you to also do some things yourself, not just use the code I am providing you. Okay, but the logic is same. So let's say this is the username text box. Okay. Okay, let's make it like this. All right, then add a text box here. So this will be the username. All right, then we will have save and load, or let's say the logs will be saved automatically, but there will be a load button. Load logs. Okay, and then we will have a text box, or let's use text block. Okay, this time. Okay, so what is the text box and text block difference? Do you know that? Let's see what is the difference.
Common to both text blocks and text boxes. Can be used to display text, can be set to specific height and width or be set to auto so that they grow in size with the text. Can set font size, font type, font styling, to wrap and to range left, right or centered. Can have opacity set and have pixel shaders applied.
Okay, so these are common in both of them. So let's see the text block differences or uniqueness.
Text block, used for displaying text more focused typographically. Can contain text set to different colors, fonts and sizes. The line height can also be increased from the default setting to give more space between each line of text. Text inside a text block cannot be made selectable by the user.
So let's see the uniqueness of text box.
Text box, used for displaying text more focused for content input or when content is needed to be made selectable by the user. Can only be set to one color, one font size, one font type, etc. Have fixed line spacing. Can also be set to a fixed height and width but also have scroll bars switched on to allow content to expand.
Okay, so this is what are text box versus text block. So here I will take user input and here as a list box I will display them with line numbers, okay, with date and line numbers. So here my thing is giving you idea about how they are working. Okay, and do we need anything else? It will automatically save it, or let's say add a button for save. Okay. Okay, so let's give some properties to this text block, text block. Okay, we can set it something like this if you want. Let's make it like this. All right, and then layout with height, row, column, z index, the alignment. Let's make, oh, this is the alignment position. Text block, don't change it. Okay, let's go to text. Okay, let's make it Arial black. 14. Okay, it's automatic. And all right, text wrap. Okay, visible. Okay. All right, and let's change the color, font color. Okay, there's font style. Oh, not this one. There's background and maybe foreground. Yeah. So the foreground can be, okay, let's change it from here. Maybe blue. Okay, it is not important. All right, so we will have a save button, which will save, and we will have a load button, which will load logs. Okay, load logs. We need to change it at the code behind as well. Okay. So basically, when we click the save, it will check that username file exists or not, doesn't even need to check, and it can directly save it. To save and load, I'm going to make site system IO. All right, and we need additional method for check valid file name. Okay. Let's say I think we can make it something like this. We can compose a check valid file name method. So let's edit private static bool check valid file name. Okay. So this will get string as our file name, and what it is going to do is it will check whether that file name is valid or not. So we can do it something like this. The file name will be the user input entered to the text box. So equal to txt, or we didn't give it a name. Okay. You see, I am not able to access txt file text box because this is static. I will remove it because we don't need it necessarily in this case. Plus dot txt for keeping logs. Okay, and why do we have a check file name? Okay, this is interesting. Okay. Oh, you see it is giving an error. Why? Because I have used the same name of input and the file name here. And this will get a file name and it will be edited like this. Okay, or we can still make it bool because we don't need to access the text box. Okay, and let's make this as username. So you know the naming is important. And what we are going to do is, if file exists, okay, return true. If it is not exist, then we will try to create it. Okay, create file name, and the create method returns us a file stream. Okay, maybe we can say try create, or I think we can do something like this. With try and catch block, this would be the best approach. File write all lines or all text, and here the path will be our file name and content will be empty. And if exception happens, what we are going to do is we will show user that invalid username is entered. Okay, and we will return, and then return false. But before okay, and here we will delete that file because we shouldn't compose it yet, and then return. Okay, this is not the best way of checking a file name is valid or not. If you allow only certain characters to be entered, you don't need to check it like this, but this is the easy way implementation. So you wonder why did I coded this method? Because when we click with save, first we will check whether the user entered file name is valid or not. So to do it, if check valid file name, I am providing the username text, and if it is false, we will return. I don't need to do anything because the message box will show it here. And if it is valid, what we are going to do is we will file dot append all text. Okay, before appending, or I don't even need to. Did we give a name to the text block? No. Okay, the name will be something like this, or txt user input. Okay, we will provide txt user input text plus a new line. And before doing this, I think we can also append datetime now. And for separation, what can we use for separating? We can use something arbitrary. What I mean is, for example, let's say something like this, and input can be something like this. Okay, so this will be the separation key. Let's say okay, private read only separate key equal to this. Okay, and so you see, when you set read only, it cannot be changed after it is initialized. It is also being static. For separation, something like this, and then I think we can also assign the username something like here. Let's say okay, I will use reference, so you will get ID of reference as well. When I use reference, the address of that parameter will be given here, and therefore the changes I make inside this method will be applied to this parameter. You will understand what I mean. So the file path will be our file name. Normally, the changes I make inside this method is not reflected back if it is not a object type. Okay. However, when I so the strings are not object type, not reference type. Therefore, the changes I make here is not reflected back. However, when I provide the reference with ref keyword, they are reflected back. So path will be null, and here I will provide it with like this. Okay, and here I can use it like this. So since I am providing reference of these local variable to this method call, the changes I make inside this method will be reflected back. Okay, that is why I am using reference. You don't need to understand it at the moment. We will see more about them in the next semester and even in the next year. Or let's say I am already showing them on the object-oriented programming course. So you can also watch that video series. However, it is useful, so let's also read its formal definition so that you can understand it better.
The ref keyword in C# is used for passing or returning references of values to or from methods. Basically, it means that any change made to a value that is passed by reference will reflect this change since you are modifying the value at the address and not just the value. It can be implemented in the following cases: to pass an argument to a method by its reference, to define a method signature to return a reference of the variable, to declare a struct as a ref struct as local reference.
Okay. So normally, if I were providing this string like this, the changes I make to this string would not be reflected back to here. Okay, because string is immutable type, and it is not a reference type in this case, therefore it would not be. But when I provide it with reference, the changes I make here will be reflected back to here. Okay, so we have coded our application first part, and let's see how it is working. Okay. Oh, by the way, we need to also clear text block. It is totally up to our design, of course, but I will make it clear. Maybe there is clear value. Let's make it empty simply. Okay, first I will start with a valid username, and then I will enter invalid usernames, invalid characters in a path. So when you save a file to a computer, a Windows, there are certain characters that you can use or not. Okay, so let's say username Furkan, and okay, you see currently I am not able to edit this text block because text block is more likely designed to display text as a block rather than editing text. So to fix that, let's make it not read only. Okay, so how do we make it editable? Oh, by default it is not editable. So I was remembering it incorrectly probably. Oh, they have used inheritance. Okay, we don't need that. So let's change this to text box for now. So the text block is used to display text rather than editing it. But you get the idea of text box, text block. Okay, now it should work. Okay, so the username is Furkan and user input is, let's say, first input. Okay, so I click save. I think we have provided the input in with the incorrect. Okay, so we have to provide path first, then the content, and we did the opposite. Let's run it again. Okay. Okay, it is saved and no error is given. You see Furkan TXT is composed and it has a new line at the end. Therefore you see there is line 2 here, but it is an empty line, and our separator is here, and the local date is saved. So let's add another one. Okay, so the enter character is not working currently inside this text box. So let's allow it. Okay, so there is accept return parameter to allow enter in a text box. Okay, let's set it here. True. Okay, our file is remaining, so let's add. You see now I am able to use enter, click save, and this file is modified. Okay, you see it is appended to the end of the file here. And now the line input is here. Okay, however, this time our issue would be how do we separate inputs? Okay, where does the first line start and the second line start? So to fix that, we can have let's say lining options. What I mean is we can also have another input like this to define where does line start or not, or we can even use this one, but I will use a different one. So these are all up to your imagination how you code it. These are not the best way, but I am giving you the idea of how it may work. Let's say line start key. Okay. So at the beginning of each line, I will append this text as well. And this will allow me to know where does the line start and of course another one ends. Okay. So I'm going to delete this because older ones does not have that line separator. Okay, Furkan, and first user input. Okay, second, let's say proof. Okay, and third, very long input. Here we go. Let's copy and paste, or let's say, okay, line 5, line 7. It continues. Okay, done. Okay, every one of them is saved, and let's load it here. All right, so now we can try an invalid character in a file name. From invalid character, what I mean, for example, let's try to compose a new file name. You see it doesn't allow these characters. A file name can't contain any of the following characters. Okay, so we could also type each one of these characters as not allowed in our software, or we can use my way, the way I have just coded. And okay, so let's try it. Furkan and star. When I click save, you see invalid username is entered. Okay, and therefore nothing changes. The existing file is also, if that file were existing, it would be remaining. And what other characters were invalid? Let's test each one of them. For example, this one. Let's add it as well. You see invalid character name is entered, and let's try another one. Okay, invalid username is entered, and let's try this one. Oh, it did allow this one, for example. However, it shows here that it is invalid. Oh, I see. It didn't save correctly though. It just save it as Furkan, and so it used it as a separator. So my method didn't work very well, and it didn't work very well because the generated file and the entered username are not same. So I need to make another check, and if it does not exist, okay, this is not appropriate way anyway, so I will just make this as a mark this as a not valid, not appropriate way. Username. So I am going to make an easier way. I will write a method extension, and you will be learning the both ways this way. So let's add it as static classes, because method extensions has to be inside static class. And here bool and bl check, or let's make it as check username validity. Okay, and this will take this dot string sr username, and simply it will check this private read only list character not as, let's make it as list not allowed characters in username. Okay, and new list as character, and here let's type each one of them. We can also make this a string, doesn't matter. You can make a string or character, it is totally up to you. So let's type each one of them. On this small scale, it wouldn't make a difference. You see, this is a special string character, therefore we have to use an escape character like this. I mean, one moment. Okay. The special one is this one. So we escape it like this. This one is not special, but this one is special. And okay, what other? Star and colon, and what else there are? Question mark, which is also invalid in Windows file system. So according to your operating system, it may change. And string character, to escape string character, I also use this one, escape character, and this one, and this one, and this one. Okay, so these are the characters that are not allowed in Windows operating system. These may be valid in Linux or another operating system. So you have to consider every one of them. Okay, and it says, you see, it says you cannot declare instance member, so therefore I'm going to make it private static read only. Okay, and check username validity. Basically what we are going to do is we will check that username contains any of these strings or not. Okay, I can use linq, or I can use the traditional way. So the traditional way will be like this: bool bl contains equal false. Okay, and we can do it like we can iterate through these strings as string, and if username contains this string, we can return false. Okay, so let's make this as valid username equal to true, and if it contains any of these, we can return false. Otherwise, we can return true, simply like this. We don't even need to define a variable here. So it is this much simple. And this has to be static and also public. Why? Because we will use this as an extension, and therefore it has to be static, and we will access it from other classes, therefore it has to be public. Okay, now instead of using this method, I will simply use this. Check username validity and done. Okay, so let's keep other one as well. I will comment this line. All right. So instead of this traditional for each, I could use LINQ. How I could use? I could use it like this. If okay, and where, or let's make for each. Okay, actually this is same, but this is the way that you can write as a LINQ. For each of the characters, or we can use. Oh, I need to implement first LINQ reference and system.linq. Okay, and here I can use var clause. Okay, and okay, here like this, and okay, sr username contains pr, and if this has count bigger than 0, we can return false. You see, it doesn't get the count directly, therefore I have to set the count method like this. Okay, so this is same as this one. From performance wise, from performance point of view, it wouldn't make any difference for a very small list like this. However, if our case or our check were very big, this could work faster. I am not sure. It has to be tested. Above methodology is same as below one, but okay, they do the same thing, or let's say above code achieves the same approach. Okay, so this is the LINQ code. All right, now we have validity check, and this is now absolute. You see it has 0 references. It is not being used anymore. Okay, we have done the save. Now we are going to do load. In the load, what we are going to do is simply first we start with checking if file exists. Txt user input text plus txt. Okay, and if it is existing, if it is not existing, we will return false. So I will be using negation to negate this condition, and message box show no logs available for entered username and return. Then we will read the entire logs to the. Okay, let's use here a dictionary, or do we need dictionary? No, dictionary is not a good idea. And let's just do a list, then we can reverse order it. User logs, and it will be equal to file.read all lines. This will read entire file to the RAM memory, and you have to have your available memory. Okay, you see we are duplicating this everywhere. This is not a good approach, and to fix this I am going to write another method extension. Okay, let's say compose user file path. Here it will take a string as an input, and simply it will return sr username plus .txt. Okay, you think that this is so simple, why we should use this? Because if you decide to change, let's say, the file extension or how the file name is composed, then you would have to change it everywhere in your software. However, with this method, we can simply give the file path like this, then we can read it to a list like this. Okay, I will be using the same method here as well. Okay, like this. File paths, and then we can use this as a variable. Okay, now everything is, you see, much simpler and clean. You have to avoid from copy pasting the same code. Okay, this is a mandatory requirement. We also don't display any exception message, or we are not doing anything with exception, therefore I can delete this as well. I can use just try and catch in this method. All right, and where else do we use? Okay, we use it here as well. So let's make it like this, or we can define a local variable as path equal to this, and we can reference to that file path. So we avoid duplicate coding, we avoid copy and pasting. Okay, and now we have read the user file logs, then we will reverse it. To reverse it, we will use array dot reverse. Okay, and this also supports lists, I believe, or I think it has a reverse extension directly. Yes. Okay, this doesn't return anything because it reverses the order of the elements in the given list. Okay. And why do we reverse? Because we will display the latest user action in the first line of our list box. Okay. And if you remember, we had enabled wrap, which allows multiple lines to be displayed in the list box in the previous lecture. So let's open our XML. And to be able to do it, we had, I think, using this. Okay, yeah, let's just copy and paste this. We will change our list box on this one as well to be text wrapping. Okay, I will resize it. So something like this. Okay, so the name is listbox results. Okay, everything is fine. All right. I will be using a collection, but we can bind it later. And okay, we had reverse it, and we are going to have a observable collection, private static observable collection. Let's open it. Observable collection. Okay, it was defined at the code behind, I believe. Why do we use observable collection? Because with this way we can bind it to our list box here, and to be able to use it we have to use a reference for system collections object model, and I will name it as logs, or let's name it as user logs. Okay, and I don't even need to change this parameter name, it may stay same. And when I click logs, I will clear observable collection. Then I will do a for each of user logs, and I will add to the observable collection a variable such as first I will split it with k separator. Okay, for separate k to work, I think I have to read it as not all lines but as all text. Okay, so because we support multiple lines, read all text, and let's say user log, or let's say entire logs, and okay, to be able to reverse it, okay, I know what I need to do. So after we read all text, we need to split it with line separator, and you see this also supports string because this is .NET Core. In .NET Framework you have to write another method extension to support with splitting with a string. Okay, here I will split it with line separator, and then I will convert it to a list, because split by default returns an array. I could also use array here because it is same, or I can use a string, it doesn't matter. So let's use array if you want, like this, user array, and I don't need to convert it to a list this time. And then I can use array.reverse and user array. You see, this doesn't return anything as well. So both is same. You can use this or you can convert to the string. Each one of these works. Then we will do a for each inside this user array. And here I will use separate k for date time. Okay, because I want to display date different from the user input at the beginning of it with a different format, whatever I want. And I will add like this. Let's say first, let's write the date. To prevent multiple splits, let's compose another split. Here per user input equal to, let's call this as, or let's make this as user input separated and split with separate key. You see, I am not hard coding this into anywhere. I am using name it variables, and this is an approach that you have to use. Now, since I have used var, you see it is automatically predicated as a string array because I have used split. And here I will just give the first parameter as datetime, then I will add a top character or double top, whatever I want. And here I will provide the rest of the user input. I can also add a line number. Here, line number, and it can start from number 1. And I can also append it like this and something like this. It is up to me. Okay. And I have to, of course, increase this with each for each. Okay. So this should work. And since we are using observable collection, it will be automatically updated. And to make it work, let's say item source equal to user logs. Do we remember correctly? Yes. Okay. So let's start. Okay, let's log logs. It say no logs available for the entered username. And we have it for Furkan. Let's log. Okay, it still says no logs available because let's see, Furkan.txt is here. So our file path has a problem because let's add a breakpoint to see where is our problem. Okay, file path. Okay. Because we have user txt user input, which is incorrect. Txt username. You see, using breakpoints can make you solve your problems much faster and easier. Therefore, always use debugging and use breakpoints, and if necessary, use if cases to determine when you are making an error. Some of the students have asked me how to solve a crawling problem in the object-oriented programming, and I set him to put a breakpoint there and add an if clause, and if that if condition is satisfied, then you can continue with debugging and see what is wrong. Okay, so let's log logs. Okay, we have an error here. Okay, I know the error. You see, since we add a new line to end of the file here, it is also getting inside user array list like this. And to fix it, simply I can add a if check here, length smaller than, let's say 3. I can say continue. Alternatively, I can solve it from the source as var pr dot length bigger than 3. Okay, I can also use this and then convert to array. So the solution up to you. If you make it like this, it would be already ready. If you use a check, you have to check it everywhere. So I have added arbitrary length 3. It could be length 1 as well. It would work. Yeah, let's make it 0, or 0 would work as well, should work as well, because the length of empty string is 0. Okay. So I have used a LINQ query here. This PR means it is the each element returning from this split. Okay, so the var and the PR is used on IEnumerable things, which means the things that are array or array-like list, for example, where you can enumerate each element in a collection. So basically it means a collection, and you can iterate through every element of that collection. And why PR is using? PR is used as a shortened name of parameters, nothing else. You can type here anything else as well, it doesn't matter. I can type here, for example, per element of my list. Okay, and then I have to use it like this. You can give any name you want. PR is used as the shortened name of parameter, nothing else. And here I am checking each of them with var clause, and it is returning from var clause only the ones that is satisfying this check. So this is basically a if check, and it is same as an if clause, nothing different. And then I convert them to array. Okay, and let's look. Okay, so this is my first line, and since we are supporting wrap text, okay, what I mean is, since we are supporting text wrapping, therefore it is being displayed like this. So this is the number 1 line, this is number 2 line, and this is number 3 line. So when I save something, now I want it to be updated here. To do that, I need to simply add it to my collection. Okay, and let's make, actually this line number is being incorrect because we are using a reverse. Therefore I will make it like this, length, and I will make this line number global variable. Okay, also let's give it a better name, line number of user logs, and it will be equal to the element counter here, element count, and I will write it like this, and then I will make it decrease it. Okay, and when I use save, simply what I need to do is modifying the collection. Okay, so let's make it like this. We are new line equal to this. Okay, file append text, clear log, and modify the collection. Okay, user logs collection, and I will add a new element, and I will add it. This time I won't be adding, of course, the separators, so this change was not necessary. Let's put it back. Simply I will add date time now, but before doing that, let me show you. First we need to calculate new line number, which is the count of elements plus 1. Okay, then like this, and then we will add the date time, and with top and top we will add the user input. Okay. However, you see now I am writing a duplicate code, which is not something that I want. So I will write another method to format user logs. Okay. So to make it, we can write a method here, format user log, and it will take line number and date time text and user text, user input. Okay, and it will return a string. I can also take a date time instead of date time text, but for now I think this is fine for us. So here, instead of writing it manually like this, I will call this method. Okay, return this one, and let's call that method from this static class, static classes dot format user log, and line number will be line number here, and instead of that we will use this user separated text. Let's cut it and write it here, and here it will be datetime text, and this will be provided here, and we will put it here. Okay, same, and we will call this method call also here. Okay, so let's copy paste this, and let's call our method from static classes dot format user log. Okay, and let's provide the line number, then datetime text, which is datetime now to string basically, and user input here. So you see now when I want to change my format, I just need to change this method. Okay, I don't need to make changes everywhere where I have called it. So this is about being functional programming, method based programming. This is really important. You have to make your project also same as method based functional programming. Okay. This is also being an object oriented programming. Okay, now we have 3, 2, 1 and lines. Let's add another input, user, save it. Okay, and okay, file path is null, because now we don't anymore reference to the file path method. We just do check username validity. Could we fix it? Yes, we can fix it. And to fix it, yeah, we basically need to do just do this, also make it like this, and here, or let's make it equal to input text to or compose file path. Okay. Okay, I didn't delete it because you also can use and test this one. Okay, now it should work. All right. you see after each stage, each feature that you have coded, you have to test your application. Otherwise, if you write everything and then try to make it run, you will have lots of errors and you won't be able to fix them. So after you add a new feature, you just need to verify that it is working or not. Simply that. So we don't even need to first load the logs. So let's add another input. So another distant input. Save it. Okay, it is added here. However, it is added empty, therefore we have some error somewhere. Okay, I see the error immediately. We have cleared the text here. However, we used the text here as well after clearing it. Therefore, I need to change order of clearing text. Okay. Okay, another error. Let's save it. Okay, it is saved. And when I click load, it says no logs available because this is saved for username as username. So let's save it for saved it. So it is still being here because it is using the same observable collection. However, when I click logs, it will be updated like this, but I see an error because our save method didn't save my last input. Why is that? Let's click save. Yes, it is not being saved. So let's check our save method error. You see here, I have to use txt username and then it should be fixed. Okay, let's say let's say okay, it is saved and then let's load it. Okay, it is loaded. You see? So both of them is working, and when I change this username, I can also automatically load or I can keep this button. It is totally up to you how you make it, how you design it. But it is working as intended. Okay, but this time it is added to the end of the list. Do you know why? I know. Because we are using the add method of observable collection here. You see add. Instead, we need to use insert. I hope it is using insert. Yes, it is using insert, and with insert, I provide the insertion index. So it will be 0, which means it will be insert to the beginning of the code. Okay, and let's write Furkan. Okay, let's say save it. Okay, let's load it. Load it. Okay. Okay, now this will be inserted to the top. Okay, and save it. Okay, you see it is now inserted to the top. All right, I will take a pause for a moment. Okay, so this is how you can make a logging system for each user. All right, for each. Here another user. Okay, this will be saved like this, but you can also keep the last username, and if user changes, you can reset this list. It is totally up to you. When we click the load, it will be also reset with the newest user. So this is all about how to keep a logging system for a user. You can expand this, you can improve this and such, and you can use other separators. You can use certain characters for separating, and the design is totally up to you. All right, and okay, I will show you a timing operation as well. And for example, we can keep a timer to display how much time has passed since the application is running. Okay, so how can we do it? On WinForms there were timers. However, on VPF there are other things for keeping time, and calculating the time passed. Okay, so to show you the time, and I mean the stopwatch this time, not the timer actually itself, but the stopwatch and dictionary, I will compose a new project. Okay, let's open it. But first let me show you timer, then I will show the stopwatch. Okay, I am opening lecture 14 first. So the timer is about ticking with an interval, basically, not just doing something continuously. Whenever the duration ticks, your application will call a method. Okay. So this is timer, and also there is a stopwatch. So do not get confused. In VPF there is a dispatcher timer. It is different in WinForms, which is older technology by the way, so you shouldn't use it. Some students asked me to use it, but I prefer you to use VPF. Okay, so let's define a method as private void start timer. Okay, and here we are going to use system threading dispatcher. Okay, so dispatcher is being used to QA elements in related to user interface and main thread mostly. So this will call another method, and inside this method we will show the time. Okay. All right. So to do it, let's define a private static date time and DT start time, or let's say application start time date. Okay, which will be equal to date time now. So this will be set when the application first started, and inside this dispatcher tick I will update a label to show how much time has passed since application started with each second, or I can define it with each millisecond. Okay, so let's name this as time. Name will be equal to linear time. Okay, inside this dispatcher tick, you see the dispatcher interval is being defined as time span, and when you define a new time span, you will see the time span has 5 different inputs, 5 different method overloads. So it can take long ticks, it can take nothing, it can take hours, ints, and minutes, seconds, It can take days, hours, minutes, seconds, or it can take int days, hours, milliseconds, and milliseconds. So to provide milliseconds, you see as I put zeros, it moves to next. I will be choosing 50. For each 50 milliseconds, it will update the dispatcher timer. And here, I will update the content of the label as the application were running since, and here I will calculate the time difference as datetime now, subtracting starting date, total milliseconds, to string, okay, with and 0. And let's add to end of it as milliseconds. So it will calculate the past milliseconds since the application beginning and update the label content. However, this may throw an error because this is being a subthread rather than the running in main thread. Therefore, I should not be able to access label on the main interface, if I remember correctly. Okay, we didn't call this timer method. Okay, this is more like the stuff of the next semester, but in advanced programming, but you will get idea of it, how it works, since we have talked about it. Okay, it is updating. You see, it is updating with every 50 milliseconds, and 1000 milliseconds is being second. Okay, so I guess it is being still able to access the label, I mean the main thread elements. So I can change this as I want. I can make it 500 as well. It will be then slower. You can use timer for everything. If you need something to be checked with certain interval, you can use dispatcher timing, and it will call each time this method. We can also add the number of method calls, such as equal to 0, and we can increase it here, and we can also display the how many times called inside here. So we will see how many times this method has been called. Okay, I have reduced it to 100 milliseconds. Okay, you see it is increasing. However, you see they are not matching. When 1000 milliseconds has passed, it should be already 10. However, you see after 20,000 milliseconds, it was around 100. Why do you think this is that way? Because the application is not fast enough to call and execute this method. Okay, so these time ticks are not that much precise. It depends on your application speed, and therefore you need to consider that as well. I think they are being added to the queue of the application after each tick, and therefore you would need synchronization. Okay, you get the idea. And now let's see example of dictionary and stopwatch. To show that, I will use a .NET Console Core application here. Okay, we are in the lectures and lecture 14 v2 version 2. Okay, on this application, I will show you how to access elements inside RAM memory quickly. Okay. And actually, we don't even need the console application, but okay, let's continue. All right. So we will have a dictionary. To be able to use dictionary, we need to add collections generic. Okay. Dictionary numbers. All right, which will be equal to. By the way, when you define a dictionary, you define a key and the value it is holding. Okay. It can be, key can be anything, the value it is holding can be anything. In this case, I will keep an integer as a key and I will keep, let's say, double as a value. Okay. So this will be, I will name it as dictionary int double vals. Okay. And I am initializing it like this. And I will also keep a list which will have the same integers and double, and it will keep it as a tuple. Okay, so it will have integer and double, or yeah, I think we can make it like this, and it will be list double int double vals. And like this. Okay. And I think I will add this to our main software, but not console application, because I don't see the reason why we should use console application. Okay, let's add another button here and let's call it as test dictionary and stopwatch. Okay. And before doing that, let's add another button for initializing our dictionary and list. Okay, initialize numbers. And let's name it as init numbers. Okay, let's first initialize the numbers. Okay, and let's define our variables here in double values and double values. So I will generate 1 million numbers, but I need to not bypass my memory length, memory size. I think 1 million should be fine. Yeah. Okay, and then I will use a random number generator. Will be equal to new random, and here basically we will generate a key for or not, let's make it random. Oh no, we can make it random. Okay, and C# generate random double. I don't know if this is possible. Okay, so someone has already written an extension for random generator. I will just copy and paste it for double numbers, and I don't even need this. So it will use random generator, and okay, this is an extension to random class, and it takes double minimum value and maximum value, and it generates. Okay, this makes sense. You can evaluate this method at your home to understand it. All right, so the key will be our integer I from 0 to 1 million, and our value will be something like this. Double my round double will be equal to my round to next double. So this is an extension, and next double will take it has already a next double extension, but it generates only between 0 and 1.0 floating number. I see. Okay, this can work. I don't even need to use the extension. So this is generating a double already. But it will be between 0 and 1, not bigger double numbers. All right. And what I am going to do is I will add this to the dictionary and to the integer. So dictionary can hold same key only once. Okay, you cannot add multiple times the same key. It will throw an error. And here I will use I as a key and value as a this generated number, double number. I will add same to the list, but list can hold same key. Actually, list doesn't have a key, so I will keep it as a new tuple. So it will be I and my random double. Okay, this will be initialization case, and then we will have a test. In the test, what we are going to do is basically we will get the value of given integer number from both dictionary and the list. Okay, with the time it took. Okay, so this will be a time test, performance test actually. Takes the key. Okay, this can be key, integer key. All right, and here we will access that key and get the value of that key with a stopwatch. Okay, so on click, this is also rather the next semester's content, but it is not a problem to start using to it this year, this semester. Okay, and let's give this a name. Dictionary use and performance test. Okay. So basically, first we will convert our text box text to integer. Test key. It will be convert to into 32. Key text. Okay. And then we will use stopwatch. Okay. Stopwatch is coming from another library, and it is inside diagnostics. Okay, and you see I had written the W as bigger letter and it was incorrect because it is case sensitive. Therefore, it suggested me to fix it. Okay, I have fixed it. Test watch. Okay, new test watch. All right, here we will first get the value from the dictionary. All right. And before getting that value from dictionary, I will start my stopwatch. It is like a real stopwatch. Start and var value equal to dictionary and the key. However, before doing that, I have to check that whether dictionary contains that key or not. Because if the key is not exist in the dictionary, it will throw an error. And then I will stop the stopwatch. I will get the elapsed time as something like this. Passed time, or let's say we are time for dictionary equal to test watch dot elapsed milliseconds. Okay, so this is, I guess, long. Yes, this is long type. So it is int 64. Then I will reset. You have to reset stopwatch, otherwise it will continue from wherever it lets it is left. Okay. And then we will get this key inside list. Okay. To get it, I can use for or LINQ. So let's use LINQ. And I think I need to use var. Okay, var. Here dot item one. Item one is the key equal to test k, and then I will get first or default. Okay, so if it is not found, it will say not found. We are val2. Okay, whatever. And then I will stop the test stopwatch and get the value here, time for list, and then I will display their time. Okay, messbox show time passed for dictionary will be equal to elapsed milliseconds for dictionary, and let's format it, and 0, and I will add a new line, and for list it will be something like this. We are time for list to string. Okay, and 0. Okay, now we can start our test, and it should work. Both list and the dictionary will be held in the memory. So I have to check my memory and see how much memory is being used. I'm going to close browser and PaintNet to get some extra memory free. Okay, I don't have much memory left. I have got 2 GB, and okay, let's initialize the numbers. Okay, it is being initialized. Okay, it didn't took any memory, and so I think I can increase the size to 10 million. When the size is more, we can see the difference of list and the dictionary more precisely. Okay, let's init it. Okay, memory is increasing, as you can see. Okay, it is increased like 1 GB. All right, now I can test. So let's start with testing a number that is small, because it would be in the beginning of the list. Okay, time passed for dictionary is 1 millisecond and for list 0 millisecond. Why? Because it is at the very beginning of the list. However, when I test 9 million, okay, they are both 0 because the application has already caged them. So let's see if I can remove the cage somehow. Oh, I see why. Because after we reset it, we didn't start it again. Okay, so I have to start it. It was already too fast, but I can now see. Okay, after the reset, I have to restart it again and let's initialize. So you see the RAM memory usage is increasing up to 1 gigabyte. Okay, let's test with 5. Okay, 1 millisecond and 2 millisecond. Let's test with 9 million. Okay, so you see dictionary, it is 0 basically. Why? Because dictionary, it doesn't matter whether it is at the beginning or at the end. It uses indexes, therefore it is super fast. Every time same speed almost. However, for the list, it starts scanning from beginning to the end. You see the difference. It is immense difference. It is infinite actually because we can't calculate its real time with millisecond. I think we can use elapsed ticks, which is something different. Let's see what is ticks in the from formal definition. C#. Okay, so the ticks is a 100 nanosecond unit, and millisecond, we know the millisecond. I think we need to look for as what is ticks and C#. Okay, let's see it from English here. English from ENUS. Okay, datetime ticks property. Guess the number of ticks that represent the date and the time of this instance. So it is int 64. However, okay, so it is about being nanoseconds. So 100 nanoseconds is one tick, you can see. And it is starting from, I think the 0 tick is the beginning date of the ticks. Let's see it. Okay, elapsed time from beginning of the century to Thursday is something like this. Okay. I think you get the idea of ticks. So with ticks, how much more precisement we are getting from milliseconds, if you ask me. If we convert nanoseconds to the, let's look from, okay, a single tick represents 100 nanoseconds or 1/10 million of a second. Okay, so 10,000 ticks equal to 1 millisecond. Therefore, with ticks we get 100,000 or 10k more precisement because 1 milliseconds equal to 10,000 ticks. Okay, So with elapsed things, we can see the difference between them, how much difference they are getting. With millisecond, we are not able to evaluate because one of them is 0, and which makes infinity. Okay, you see current application is about using 90 megabytes, and when I initialize the numbers, it is getting about 1 gigabyte. And if our number list was 10 times bigger, the difference would be even bigger. So again, let's test 5. Okay, so with the 5, actually the list is faster because it is at the beginning of the list. Therefore, it finds it almost immediately, and when the second time we run it, you see how much the times have changed because now it is caged. However, still there is some, they are very close, and when I test a number that is at the almost end of the dictionary, something like this, you see the dictionary takes still same time. Okay, and for the list it is immensely different. So let's add these to our collection so that we will see them better instead of using message box. All right, so what was the name of our collection? User logs. Okay, insert 0 and this. Okay. So let's run again. So this time I will make it test the very end key before caging, because caging makes huge difference. All right, let's initialize. Okay, initialization is done. So let's look for the key, this. Okay, let's see. Okay, so you see at the first initialization for the dictionary it took 21,000 ticks, which makes around 2 milliseconds, and for the list it took about how many times? I think more than 20 times. We can actually calculate the difference as well, so, as list calculation took how many times? Let's calculate it. Over dictionary, and let's format it. And 1 times more. Also, let's convert them to let's call as ticks, and also the milliseconds. Okay, so okay, I will add a add character here so I can use multiple lines as a single string so I can see better. Okay, and like this. Okay. Okay, so and when I divide it with 10,000, okay, and milliseconds. All right, let's apply same to here. Milliseconds and times 1. Okay, so now we will have better visuality. Okay, let's start with some arbitrary numbers such as this. Is this exists in the list? No, not. Okay, this one. Let's test it. Okay, so the time passed for dictionary ticks is 11,000 and it is around 1 millisecond. For the list, it took only 1000 and it is around 0 milliseconds. Actually, this is weird. Maybe have a let's see our code. So the top is not working. Let's remove them. Time for dictionary ticks milliseconds. And time for list and then milliseconds. Okay, the first time calculation. Oh, I see the reason. I see the reason. Oh no, it is not the case. Okay, I think something else, but it is not the case. Okay, let's initialize. And let's look for 5 million, which is half of the key. Okay. And then let's test it. Okay, time passed for dictionary is 25k. It is 2 milliseconds. And for the list, it is, you see, 2.4 million. It is 240 milliseconds. So the list calculation took 95 times more time. And when I click again, so you see now for the dictionary it is almost 0 because it has caged it, and for the list it is not much caged, and therefore you see at the first time it was only 95 times faster, and now it is almost 40,000 times faster. So you see the importance of list and dictionary. So if it is at the beginning of the list, it only took 7 times more. If it is at the very beginning, it is only taking 7, it is only 7 times faster. But if it is close to the very end of the list, you see it is taking 15,000 times more time. Okay. Or 40,000. If it is not in the list, you see now the time difference decreases because the dictionary checks all the keys and it says that, oh, this does not exist. Therefore, it is taking 10 times more time, and this new line character is not being applied, so I will remove them. However, it is already seeing this as a multi-line because we are using this add special character at the beginning of our string, and now we can see also I will remove this N1 because it doesn't make sense in this case. All right, and let me stop the application. Okay, no. Okay, my debugger is okay. Okay, now it's working fine. Okay, now you get the idea how to use stopwatch and how to use dictionary for performance, for accessing elements. In your project, you can use dictionary to keep users. Okay, the previous debug is still running. I have to terminate it from here. Let's see where it is. Why it didn't work? Okay, now it's working. All right, now you see the importance of list and dictionary. If the list size were bigger, such as I think I can hold double times of numbers in my with my memory is being enough. So as the size of your collection increases, the difference will increase also. Okay, now it is about 1.5 gigabyte. So let's search for number like 90 million. Okay, in the first run, it was only 422 times faster for dictionary because the dictionary were initializing and caging. And at the second time, you see the difference is over 100 times because the dictionary search is taking only 52 millisecond ticks, not 0 millisecond, and for the list it is taking 7 million ticks. It is around 700 millisecond. And for the dictionary search it will not change. You see the 5 took even more than the 90 million. However, for the list now it is much more faster. It is only 5 times faster, you see. So if the value you are looking at the beginning of the list, it is very fast. But if it is at the end of the list, it is very slow because it is checking each value. But when you use a dictionary, it is indexing, therefore it is very fast. Okay. Okay, so I think it is enough for this week and for this course. Hopefully next semester we will see the advanced programming. So let's write what we have seen in this today's lecture. Okay, how to design and code program a proper logging system. How to read and save logs to a text file. All right, and okay, how to use named variables properties to keep constant values to ensure good programming practices. Okay, this is called as using using named variables for constant values. Okay, not using constant values inside here directly. Okay, and what else did we see? We have seen how to use timer in a VPF application with dispatcher timer method okay, how to use observable collection to update values of a list box. Okay, how to wrap text inside a list box of a web application. In a list box of a web application or offer. Okay, I think this can be in. Anyway, not important. And what is So this is the most precise time calculation approach. Elapsed time. What is dictionary? How to utilize dictionary to make very fast search in memory kept data. Performance, let's say search. Okay, and what else do we need to write as a block? Okay, this is enough, and you should follow this method-based and class-based approach. And the code you are writing in the main window should be minimal. For this lecture, I didn't try to make it minimal, but you should move these methods inside other classes and just call them as a method call, like we are doing here. Where were we doing it? Like we are doing here. This is a method call from static classes, and even these numbers should not be directly written. It can be defined here. I think this is enough, and let's save it, and let's also check our project file again. So let's repeat it. Okay, it is in both Turkish and English. So this is the example video. However, your project should be better than this video. Okay, I am expecting better project from you because this was a quick example to give you the idea, but I am expecting a better one from you. Okay, let's read it.
Read this document very carefully. Your project does not have to be exactly same as in the example video. However, it has to have minimum same functionality. If you add more functions, it will bring you more points. In this project, a calculator that have user register, user login and a calculator, which saves the history of those particular users' calculations, will be developed. When the software first started, only register and login panels will be active clickable and the calculator panel will be enabled only once the user is logged in.
Okay, some students ask me that where is this file located? This file is located in our GitHub, and our GitHub link is located at the description of each video. Okay, for example, here you see GitHub repository of the Introduction to Programming C# course, and on this repository the midterm and final project file is here. Okay, this is that file. You can download it and read it. So this is the repository. Make sure that you start it and watch it, and make sure that you are a subscriber of our channel and you have opened our alerts. This is very important because some students are also asking me that they don't see new videos on the LMS system of the school because I am not regularly updating the LMS system. It is taking too much time, but if you subscribe and open the notifications, you will get immediately notified our channel uploads. Okay, let's continue.
The things that needs to be considered careful when developing register panel. Check that if it is possible to create a text file with the same name as the username of the registered user. If the username contains illegal file name characters, return an error message. With this approach, every user's calculation logs can be saved in a text file which name is same as the user's username.
So what you need to do is, just as we did in this lecture, check that whether illegal file name characters exist in the username or not. Okay, I have shown you that.
Check that whether selected username is registered previously or not. Make sure that you are checking against the most recent registered users list. If yes, do not allow and return an error message.
When your application first started, you can load user database or the user list into a dictionary, and from that dictionary you can check that username exists or not. Or when you are checking for passwords, you can do the same. You see, for the dictionary checks are super fast instead of scanning entire list or entire text file and such. Okay, so this is the logic behind it. Of course, loading every user into a dictionary may take a lot of memory. You also have to consider your memory every time.
When composing a user record in text file or database, you need to make username case insensitive. So it will not matter whether uppercase or lowercase. For example, Toros and Toros will be same. To achieve this, you can convert usernames to lowercase when comparing with English Culture Info. English Culture Info would make Shema and Shema as same usernames.
Okay. And
do not allow space character to be in front of username or at the end of username. You can solve this problem by trimming username both when registering and logging in. Do not allow usernames to start with numbers. Do not allow these below characters to be used in username and return an error message if the user has used any of them.
instead of this, you can also define a set of characters that can only be used. So other than those characters are being used in the username, you can display that character to the user and say that it is illegal to use. Okay, that approach is better because these are only limited, so many characters, and you can't basically prevent users to use using different characters such as Chinese characters or Japanese characters or such. So it is about how, let's say, what kind of usernames you want to allow. Okay. So if you want to if you want the user to use any character in their username, you can only set limited characters and allow the rest. Or if you want user to use only certain characters, then you can allow on those certain characters, and all other characters would be illegal to use. Okay.
For password input, you need to use password box instead of text box. So when typing password, the characters will be displayed as asterisk asterisk asterisk. Check whether the password and the password verification inputs are exactly same or not when a user is registering. Return an error message if passwords are not matching. When saving the passwords in text file, passwords has to be saved as SHA-256 hash text. Also in login interface, you need to compare SHA-256 version of the user entered password and the saved password. It was already SHA-256 in text file. If passes all of these stages, compose a user record in user's text file. Save all of the user accounts in a single text file. When saving user names and their passwords, you can split username and password with character. Do not allow split character to be used in usernames, otherwise passwords and usernames saved in user's text file cannot be separated.
Or you can use some arbitrary string, a long string as well for separation. It is totally up to you how you design. Normally, we would not use a text file as a database. We would use a real database such as MySQL, SQLite, or MS SQL. You can also use them if you want. However, we haven't seen them yet, therefore it is not mandatory. Next semester, hopefully we will see them, how to use a real database.
When reading user account values from the text file, you can use dictionary. Username would be key and password would be value. Password security enforcement, at least 8 characters long, at least one uppercase, at least one lowercase and at least one number. If user selects a password that is not satisfying these rules, display the user exactly which one is incorrect.
You see, since we are doing a hashing, even lowercase and uppercase matters. Okay. Also, you should always display the user what is wrong, not just say your password is incorrect. Say whether that you are missing an uppercase character or you are missing a lowercase character or your character length is not enough and such. Okay. So tell the user what is wrong.
Compose a single text file for every user which would hold the mathematical calculations history as logs.
Okay, we have seen how to keep logs, and when the when the user logged in, display the history.
Once the user registered, disable Login and Register panel buttons and automatically focus the Calculator tab. Logout, Sign Out system has to be added to the project so that users can quickly switch accounts. After logging out, user will be redirected to the login screen. The things that needs to be considered careful when developing login panel. When doing login, make sure that you have loaded the latest user's database into the software. Read text user's text file. When user logging in, the username control need to be done as case insensitive. The uppercase and lowercase will not matter. It has to be same as register panel so that they will be in sync. When logging in, the password needs to be case sensitive checked. So uppercase and lowercase matters.
Since we are using a hashing check, it is already case sensitive. So you don't need to do anything else for actually when you do hashing.
If there is no such username in the user's list, return an error message. If an incorrect password is entered, return an error message. The logged user information has to be kept in a global variable and must be shown to the user in some section of the software. Also, log out and then log in again feature needs to be added to the game for quick account switching.
Okay, so I have written game there incorrectly, actually the application. Let me fix it. Okay. To the, let's say, also I will remove this, or let's add an notice. Or obsolete. Okay, huh? Or unnecessary. Nothing obsolete matters. Okay, let's continue.
The things that needs to be considered careful when developing calculator panel. First of all, you need to design a novel interface yourself. Your interface may be similar to my example,
but it should be better. Okay, do not try to make exactly as I do. Try to make it better. Okay. Think as that this is a project that is given you to from your employer and you will get paid to make it better. Okay.
user needs to be able to write a mathematical expression both with the buttons on the screen and the keyboard. The user-written mathematical expression will be a string. Thus you need to process this string and process the output. You need to write explanations to the buttons put on screen. This means that when you hover your mouse over a button, there will appear a tooltip. An example will be shown in class.
Okay, I have forgotten this, so let me open our lecture 14. Okay, and then I will show you the tooltip. I will be deleting this because we don't need it. Actually, the tooltip is pretty simple. When the application is opened, I will show you.
The user input box for mathematical operations has to support copy-paste feature.
Okay, in the tooltip, write what does that button do. For example, when you hover over 9, type as the 9 letter will be added to the input box or such. Okay, or when you hover over the equal number. Okay, so let's write a tooltip to the save button. Okay, I can write another private method such as here. Oh, if it is static, I am not able to access it. btn save tooltip equal to, this will save your input to your username logs. Okay, or let's say this will append your input to the end of your username logs. If no logs exist, it will compose a new logs file. Okay, let's run the application to see how it looks. Let's continue.
All of the mathematical calculations that user does will be added to the list box and saved to the user's log file. List box has to show the latest calculation at the very top.
To achieve this, we reverse the list. I have already shown you that in this lecture.
After the user logged in, you need to read user's log file and load all of them to the user logs list box on the screen. For having correct order, you can read text file into a list, reverse the list and then add to the list box.
By the way, in your application, it should be automatically done. Okay, user should not have to click the load button. Okay, so when I hover my mouse, okay, we didn't call this method. So first, let's call this method. Let's run. Okay.
General things that needs to be considered. Every project will be controlled one by one. So if you cheat or bring a ready code project, you will get FF. When coding, use classes and functions. Make everything as much as properly designed with functions and classes. Never write the same code twice. Make it a function and call it as a function call.
Actually, these are not functions but methods because we are doing object-oriented programming. The methods are called as functions in non-object-oriented programming, but same. We can call methods as functions as well. Okay, when I hover my mouse, you see this will append your input to the end of your username logs. If no logs exist, it will compose a new logs file. So this is the tooltip. So the functions here are actually methods. I think we can change functions to methods. Okay. All right. Let's continue.
When your score is being evaluated at the end of the project, not only the features of your calculator but also how good you have programmed will be evaluated. So use as much as possible functions and classes to get a better score.
Okay. Okay, let's continue.
Give proper English names to all of your methods, variables, classes, etc.
Please use English names. Do not use Turkish names. Okay. This is important.
There will not a final exam. Your grade will be based on this project. Thus, take this project very seriously and start working on it immediately. Look the internet for the parts that you do not know. Create an account on https://stackoverflow.com/ and ask there, or look for answers there. When doing the project, you can email and ask me the parts that you cannot solve. My email, furkan.gozakara@toros.edu.tr. Also, you can contact me through our Discord channel.
Discord channel is also extremely useful. As you know, you can also ask your questions there. I can answer if I see or if I am absent. The upper class, your friends may answer you, students may answer you. So our Discord channel is working perfectly good to communicate and find answers. Okay. However, if you register on Stack Overflow, it is very useful for you because in your professional life, in your future programming life, you may be need to ask there as well and get answers from there.
Latest project delivery date, last day of the finals.
However, I give you time until the end of the bütünleme exam, so you can still deliver your project after the finals ended and in the bütünleme period. Okay. Okay, so this is extra explanation. Let's read that as well.
Lastly, everyone will record a very detailed video to explain the project. 2. Video will be recorded with OBS Studio in 1080p, high quality so that I can read explained code easily, resolution. 3. It is mandatory to use microphone when recording and explaining the project verbally by speaking. 4. Turkish students can record the video in Turkish. 5. The project has to be made in English. 6. Non-Turkish students can also record their video in Turkish if their Turkish is better than their English. However, they should use English if their English is better than their Turkish. 7. When explaining your project, you need to explain every piece of your written code.
Okay, the video is very important. This is where I can evaluate your project properly. Okay. You know there is COVID-19 precautions. if we were attending the school regularly as before COVID-19, you wouldn't be in need to do a video. That time I would examine you, question you face to face, one by one. However, since we are working remotely, the video is key, and from your video, basically you will get your project score rather than running your application on my computer and checking myself. I will watch your video and see how it is working. So make sure that you are displaying me every function, every property, every feature of your project in your video. This is very important. Run it on your computer while explaining. So explain and show how it works and how you have written the code. So basically you have to show the code and the program runtime as well. Okay, not only code or not only run program and show it. You have to show me both of them. Let's continue.
8. What does that particular code piece or that particular class or that particular method, etc.? And how did you write it? 9. Moreover, you have to explain and show every feature of your application. So run your application and do example of every feature such as register, login, show logs, switch user, etc. 10. Then after you have to upload your video to the YouTube and set visibility as public or unlisted. 11. Because it has to be accessible. 12. Furthermore, add your YouTube video link to the project folder as text. 13. Finally, zip or RAR your entire project and upload to your Google Drive. After you get your Google Drive upload link, send me that link as email, furkan.gozakara@toros.edu.tr.
Instead of uploading to YouTube, you can upload your video to your Google Drive as well. It is both valid. You can upload to YouTube or you can upload to your Google Drive. I accept both of them. Okay. So this is really important.
When sharing your Google Drive upload link as email, make sure that your upload's visibility is set correctly. Set it as who has link can view or download so that I can download it.
Okay, so this is really important part.
Everyone will be sending a Word or PDF document along with their final project files. This document will contain screenshots of your all comments to the lecture videos, all of the 14 lecture videos. Take screenshots with high resolution. Your comment has to be clearly readable. Those who fails to send this document will be counted as not attended to the lectures. Therefore they will get FF.
For example, let me show you what I mean from this. Let's open the first video. So you will start first video. And let's say you are Muhammed Mustafa Kapıcı. I will take screenshot of this comment. Okay. And I will after the screenshot I will copy it. I will compose a new Word document. Okay, so lecture 1 comment. I will paste it and then I will continue. And let's open the next video here. Okay, so let's see the comments. Okay, it is here. So I will print screen it. Okay, if you can't find your comment, try to look from private window and try to change sorting option to the newest first. Okay, so you should be able to find it. If you can't still find it, you can recomment. Okay, it is fine, but this should work. So this is the lecture 2 comment, and I will copy it and I will type as lecture 2 comment and paste. Okay, this is what I want from you. All right. You can put each comment in a new page like this, or you can make it like this. It is up to you. Which one is looking better? Choose that approach. All right, and I will update something here. Actually, Google Drive better because it doesn't reduce the quality. Okay. Okay, so I will update the semester project file as version 4. Okay, 12. Okay. Okay, I hope this was a good year for you too. I mean, you have studied and watched our lectures properly and learned how to program. I know that programming is very hard. I know that it is really hard to understand, but in time, as you follow my instructions, watch our videos, and do the coding, not just copy paste, type the code yourself, you will get used to it, you will start to understand it better, and you will become better at programming. So this is our last video of this course. Hopefully, see you at the next semester. Okay, let's upload. Okay, hopefully, see you later. End of lecture.